Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and today I get to bring you a special treat. Courtesy of Square Enix, I was given access to Crisis Core Reunion, the modern remaster of the PSP classic prequel to Final Fantasy VII, 2 weeks early. Thanks to them for giving me the copy and for sponsoring a stream I did with it. This video isn't sponsored, but I figured you might want to hear what I have to say after getting to briefly dive into the remaster. Now bear in mind, I was only allowed to stream Chapter 1, and that is as far as I've played for the sake of this video. Been very much resisting the urge to keep going, but hey, we gotta keep it clean here. Fortunately, that first chapter says a lot about the quality of the game, so let's quickly dive into what you need to know about Crisis Core Reunion. First off, for those new to Final Fantasy VII as of the remake release, given this is a prequel, it's a valuable entry in the franchise that will expand your understanding of the events in that game. You'll follow the story of Zack Fair, whose existence I can't really discuss much without spoiling Final Fantasy VII, so just know that's who this is. It will be especially important for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, so I advise you trying this out before Rebirth comes out next winter. Fortunately, this game is available on pretty much everything: Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and what I played it on, Steam. So pick your favorite one and get to buy-in when the time is right. The game itself is an action RPG with a mission-based design focus. You go to and from your home base executing missions on various maps to complete the story. There are of course those main missions to progress the story, but also a ton of side missions. These come stacked with rewards and bonuses you'll want to chase, so be sure to keep up on those throughout the game. Now on to things that have been updated or changed from the PSP version. First off, the visuals, of course, have mostly undergone some degree of updating. Pre-rendered cinematics from the original are not re-rendered, and instead simply seem to be upscaled, so they're still a bit grainy. Not too surprising given similar practices in other recent Final Fantasy remasters, but worth mentioning all the same. The in-game character models and cutscenes, on the other hand, have gotten a fresh coat of paint, sporting a big visual improvement over the PSP originals. More major characters have better detailing, but it's all improved even on the minor characters. The animations, however, are still definitely out of the PSP era, leading to some mismatches between what looks modern and what still looks to be, mid to late 2000s design-wise. It's a bit of a nostalgic laugh-out-loud kind of vibe for me, or probably for someone else who's a vet of the game itself, but players brand new might be like, why does this look like this? So just be prepared. I will say that one thing I loved are the new summon animations. In the chapter that I got to play, I only got to see one of them, but it was drastically improved over the PSP version. The soundtrack hits all the same notes as the original too. No surprise given that the original composer, Takeharu Ishimoto, returned for the new arrangements. The songs are already great in this game, so as updated versions capture them all the better. Another point of contention may be the voice acting. The original game did feature a good amount of voice acting as well, but the VAs themselves have been updated here to match their remake counterparts, meaning that some characters sound vastly different than their PSP equivalents. I had no issue with it, though Zack still took me a bit of getting used to. It also seems like there is more voice acting for more minor dialogue this time around, but it's been a while since I played the original, so I could be misremembering that. For me, the biggest point of improvement I was looking forward to was the combat. Let me tell you, I'm quite pleased. The gameplay is far more responsive and the added combat options are very much welcome. With the original PSP version, we didn't even have left or right triggers, or even 2 analog sticks to work with, so yeah, we're working with modern technology here and the game has been updated to represent that. Adjusting camera and movement simultaneously is much smoother, Zack responds to inputs far better than he did before, and the added or changed combat elements suit the game well. This is especially evident with the materia shortcuts you now have, and most importantly to me, updates to the Digital Mind Wave. The Digital Mind Wave, or DMW, is a game mechanic straight out of the mid to late 2000s like those animations were. It's a slot machine in the top corner that spins both character portraits and numbers to grant various effects and abilities to Zack. You can receive buffs like 0 MP or AP cost for a short time, more critical hits, or even temporary invincibility. The DMW also determines when Zack actually levels up, though you still need to defeat enemies to earn experience before it can do so. The portraits, on the other hand, give Zack access to several different limit breaks, with more unlocking as the story progresses. These can trigger a flashback cutscene to provide some insight to Zack's history with the character, though these scenes can also quickly be skipped if they're not your cup of tea. In the original, once a limit break was triggered, it automatically executed, which could get a bit disruptive, but now you can choose when to activate it once it has been earned at your leisure. It has to be used before the end of the battle you earned it in, but at least you can utilize them more strategically without just having to stop everything you're doing and use the skill in that moment. The same quality of life persists for the summon mode according to the pre-release information, so the DMW should be much better to utilize in this version. I still think it's an overly complex feature that doesn't really need to be as complex as it is, especially when you get into the nitty-gritty of how it works, but the quality of life is always welcome, and I can tell you that it felt way better than my original experience, even in just the first chapter. Overall, it was really nice to play a way cleaner, visually updated version of Crisis Core on a modern console, or in my case, PC. Speaking of which, the game's actual performance, incredible! It was completely smooth the entire time, no drops at 60 FPS on PC, and the PC version does have a 120 FPS option for those of you looking to get all of the frames. This definitely lands on my recommended list for the coming holiday season, whether or not you have played it before. You don't even need an excuse to play this type of game again. The original was already so much content, so many hours, and there's a reason why people have been asking for something like this for a really long time. It's not just the blinders on because it was Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, it was legitimately one of the best games in the PSP library. So having it now available to everyone on so many platforms is going to be awesome. That's going to be a wrap for my initial impressions of Crisis Core Reunion. I will, of course, be live streaming the game and uploading my playthrough to the VOD channel once I get around to it, and it will officially release on December 13th, so be sure to tune in if you're curious or want to see a little bit more before committing to the purchase this holiday season. Thanks again to Square Enix for giving me the copy early, and with that, I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care.